Welcome back to Dan's Bar. Today we are making a cocktail that is, at this point sadly, but ultimately joyously known as the Presidential Suite. And what it essentially amounts to is a very highfalutin, fancy version of an old-fashioned. In fact, the Patterson House in Nashville, Missouri won a James Beard Award for this very cocktail, so I thought that given my birthday is tomorrow, I would make myself a fancy version of one of my favorite cocktails, the old-fashioned, and just amp things up a little bit. So this one, we're going to use a really nice bourbon. So this is Maker's 46, aged a little bit longer, a little bit better barrels that are pulled for the 46 blend. We're using a W.L. Weller rye whiskey, which is a very, very, very good rye. Kind of hard to find sometimes, but Binny's usually has them in store. If you can find them or ask them nicely where they are, but very, very good rye, so you know, everything's just amped up a notch. It also has a Blackstrap Rum in it, so a really dark, nicely aged, flavorful, molassesy, sweet rum. Kind of adding a little bit more complexity to the flavor, a little bit more going on there, so I think that'll be interesting. Some orange bitters, so a little bit departure from the cinnamon that I usually do, but it's already giving you that orange flavor, so you don't need any additional zest, extract, or anything else in there to give you that orange flavor profile. And then it has a little bit of honey in there in place of the other simple syrup, or my usual go-to of maple syrup. And in this case, as everything else, I'm amping that up a bit too and using a Manuka honey that definitely does not say best before 2017 on the back of it, but hey, it doesn't matter because it's honey, which never goes bad, as we have discussed. So this combination I think is going to give it really, really nice, fancy, a little bit above the your standard old-fashioned. So let's go ahead and give it a shot. It's going to be very simple, 1/1/2 dash dribble. Easy to remember? Let's go. All right, we're gonna do 1 ounce of our Maker's 46. Now this is only about $5 more than your standard Maker's, and it's not that different, but it's different enough that I'd recommend at least giving a shot. However, if you can find barrel cask strength Makers, that is just an order of magnitude better. It's about 1.5 or 2 times as much as a regular bottle Maker's, but it is just fantastic. So highly recommend that one. Maker's 46 though, a little bit fancier, a little bit, has a better appearance if nothing else. So when you're hosting a party, they'll say, ooh, you went for the 46? That's fancy, which is always good. So got 1 ounce of our Makers and 1 ounce of our W.L. Weller. And again, this is really a sipping whiskey. It's really tasty, really good. It's almost a sin to put it in a cocktail, but I figured it's my birthday. Treat yourself. And now we're gonna put in a little bit of rum just to give it some dark notes. This is the Myers rum, which is the classic, one of the original dark rums. This is the one you would use in a dark and stormy to have that layered ginger beer and dark rum flavors. Very tasty. I'm using this one just because it's thick and rich, almost like the molasses that it comes from. So as you probably know, based on the Caparina video, most rums come from the molasses, whereas Caparina comes from the sugarcane that has something done to it. In any case, the rum is put in a cask after it's made, and so it has a little bit more flavors that come in from the wood of the cask, gives it a little bit more round, established flavor than your standard run-of-the-mill rum. So we got those three, 1/1/2. I'm gonna put in a couple dashes of our orange bitters, and then finish this off with just a dash of honey before giving it a good shake. Now I do find the orange bitters are not quite as bitter as some of the other bitters that I have, so I tend to do a little bit more of these to make sure I have a nice balance of the bitterness, the sweetness, the spiciness, all that good stuff. Finally, we're gonna cap this off with just a bit of our Manuka honey, which does come from specific locations in New Zealand where there's the Manuka plant, has a flower of the Manuka plant. The bees generally pull from those, and it's thought to have more medicinal properties. Whether or not that's accurate or not, I truly cannot say, but it does make for some absolutely delightful honey. And hopefully I can get it to mix without putting it into a syrup first, which you ordinarily would do, but I think just some extra vigorous shaking might do the trick. All right, so after making sure that no honey went to waste, we will now go ahead and I do fear that honey won't fully embed itself because it is in the cold liquid, but we'll cross our fingers and hope, and we'll see what we get. Shaking time. All right, given that it is 90 degrees outside and I haven't had the air conditioning on because I kept the house closed all day, it's still only up to like 76, but this has a lot of condensation and it's just spraying condensation everywhere. It gets humid in the Midwest. Funny how that works. All right, let's pour this out, see what we get. Should just look like our standard old fashioned, but it should taste just a little bit special. And also used up all of the ice in the shaker. All right, what do we get? I definitely suggest making honey syrup. I'm gonna guess that if we look in here, yep, I have a little piece of honey candy sitting at the bottom there. So definitely make your honey syrup rather than putting the honey directly in. Don't fear, it will not go to waste because I'm just gonna eat this. It's really good honey. But it does mean the drink isn't quite as sweet as it would be otherwise. So go ahead and melt down that honey into water, make it like a simple syrup solution. That's gonna make it dissolve better in the drink and make it sweeter. But the spiciness of the rye comes through, the little bit of complexities and molasses flavoring from the rum comes through, while the overtones of kind of booziness comes through from the makers. It's really nicely balanced. Definitely needs some more sweetness, but man, it's a good cocktail. So give the presidential sweet a try, or give it a new name. See what you like. In any case, until we drink again, stay safe, happy creating and experimenting. Cheers.